The massive chamber stretched out like a crystal cathedral, its walls pulsing with soft alien lights. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy filled the floating platforms that circled the central speaking area. Some looked like walking trees with silver bark. Others resembled giant butterflies with wings that changed color as they moved. A few were nothing more than glowing gas clouds contained in transparent spheres. Lihana stood at the entrance, her simple black diplomatic suit making her look tiny among the exotic creatures. Her heart pounded as she gripped the datapad containing Earth's petition. The birthmark on her left hand itched terribly, the strange swirling patterns seeming to pulse under her skin. She had always been self-conscious about the mark. It looked almost like writing in some unknown language, dark lines that curved and twisted across her palm and fingers. The young woman took a deep breath and walked toward the speaking platform. Her footsteps echoed in the vast space. As she moved, conversation stopped. Alien eyes, sensors, and other sensing organs turned to watch her. Then the laughter began. It started as a low rumbling from the rock like beings called the Granite Lords. Their voices sounded like boulders rolling down a mountain. Soon, other species joined in. The crystal beings made sounds like wind chimes in a storm. The insect creatures clicked and buzzed their amusement. Even the gas clouds flickered with what seemed like humor. High Curator Velthara rose from her throne at the center of the chamber. She was 12 feet tall with 4 arms and a face that looked like a praying mantis made of polished metal. Her voice boomed across the space without any mechanical help. Beings of the Galactic Council. Today we have a special treat. The humans have sent us another of their kind to beg for our advanced technology. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Hana felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but she kept walking. Her marked hand grew warmer with each step. "Look at her," called out Ambassador Krelvon from the reptilian delegation. His long snout curled in what might have been a smile. So young. So primitive. Her species barely learned to leave their dirt ball 50 years ago, and already they think they deserve our gifts. A floating jellyfish creature pulsed with bright colors. "My people have been traveling the stars for 10,000 years. We built cities among the clouds of gas giants while her ancestors were still throwing rocks at each other." "Rocks," repeated a machine voice from the synthetic beings section. "How fitting. Humans are barely above the Stone Age compared to us." Hana reached the speaking platform and stepped onto it. The surface glowed under her feet, recognizing her presence. She looked up at the thousands of alien beings surrounding her. Their laughter and mocking comments filled the air like a storm. High Curator Velthara raised one of her 4 hands for silence. The noise slowly died down. "Very well, little human. We will let you speak. Not because we take you seriously, but because watching primitive species try to communicate with their betters is always entertaining." Hana activated her datapad. The holographic display showed images of Earth, its cities, its people working and building and reaching for the stars. She had practiced this speech hundreds of times. "Honored beings of the Galactic Council," she began. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber's translation systems. "I come before you today representing the human race. We are young, yes. We are new to space travel, but we have something to offer." "What could you possibly offer us?" scoffed a bird-like creature with metal feathers. "Your technology is thousands of years behind ours. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Your ships can barely cross a single star system." The birthmark on Hana's hand grew hotter. She tried to ignore it and continued her presentation. "We offer our perspective, our creativity, our determination to never give up even when faced with impossible odds." This brought fresh waves of laughter. A blob-like creature that constantly shifted shape gurgled with amusement. "Determination? Child, determination means nothing when you lack the tools to act on it." "Indeed," agreed High Curator Velthara. "We have seen countless young races make similar claims. They all think they are special. They all believe they have something unique to contribute. But in the end, they all prove to be exactly what they appear to be. Primitives playing at being civilized." Hana felt the heat in her marked hand spreading up her arm. The pattern seemed to throb in rhythm with her heartbeat. She pushed through the sensation and activated another part of her presentation. "Humanity has achieved spaceflight, artificial intelligence, and fusion power in just a few centuries. Our progress has been faster than almost any other known species." "Built on stolen technology," sneered Krelvon. "Your people found abandoned artifacts and reverse-engineered them, just like a dozen other primitive races we have encountered. We have records of your development, added Velthara. Nothing original. Nothing impressive. Nothing that suggests you will ever be more than you are now. A minor species on the edge of civilized space. The alien laughter grew louder. Some beings began to leave their platforms, apparently bored with the entertainment. Others made rude gestures or sounds in their species' equivalent of dismissal. Hana's marked hand now felt like it was on fire, but she refused to show weakness. She straightened her shoulders and looked directly at the High Curator. We may be young, we may be primitive by your standards, but humanity has never backed down from a challenge. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have ended other species. We always find a way. Pretty words, Velthara replied with what sounded like boredom. But words are wind. You have nothing concrete to offer us. No technology we need. No resources we lack. No knowledge we do not already possess. The High Curator gestured dismissively with two of her arms. This audience is concluded. Take your petition back to your little world and tell your leaders the truth. The galaxy has no need for humanity. Perhaps in a few thousand years, when you have actually accomplished something worthwhile, you may try again. As the alien beings began filing out of the chamber, their conversations filled with amused comments about the presumptuous humans, Hana stood alone on the speaking platform. The birthmark on her hand had cooled, but she could still feel a strange tingling in the ancient patterns. She looked down at her palm, wondering not for the first time where the mark had come from. Her parents had no explanation. Doctors found nothing unusual about it except its appearance. But sometimes, in quiet moments, she almost felt like it was trying to tell her something important. The chamber emptied around her, leaving only the soft glow of alien lights and the echo of mocking laughter. Hana gathered her materials and walked toward the exit, her mind already turning to the next phase of humanity's plan. The Galactic Council had rejected them, but that did not mean the journey was over. She had no way of knowing that her marked hand held the key to secrets that would shake the foundations of everything these arrogant aliens believed about themselves and their place in the galaxy. 3 days had passed since the humiliation at the Galactic Council. Hana sat in the cramped quarters of the research vessel New Horizon, staring out at the stars through the small porthole. Her marked hand rested on the table, the strange pattern seeming darker than usual in the dim light. Still thinking about those arrogant aliens? Asked Dr. Park Junho as he entered the room carrying 2 cups of coffee. The middle-aged archaeologist had kind eyes and graying hair that stuck up in all directions. He had volunteered to take Hana on this expedition after hearing about her rejection by the council. How can they be so sure about us? Hana replied, accepting the warm cup gratefully. They acted like they knew everything about human history and potential. But they have only known about us for 50 years. Junho sat down across from her. That is exactly why this expedition is important. We are going to study civilizations that existed before any of them reached space. Maybe we will find something that changes their minds about humanity. The ship's intercom crackled to life. All crew to the observation deck. We are approaching the target system. The voice belonged to Kim Daeho, their tech specialist and ship pilot. Hana and Junho made their way through the narrow corridors to the front of the ship. The observation deck was small but had large windows that showed the view ahead. Dr. Choi Mirai was already there, her face pressed against the glass. The young physicist had bright eyes and short black hair that she constantly pushed back while working. Look at that, Mirai whispered in amazement. Before them lay a dead solar system. 3 planets orbited a dim red star, but something was clearly wrong. The planets had no atmosphere, no signs of life, no natural features that suggested they had ever been habitable worlds. According to our scans, Daeho said as he checked his instruments, these planets were stripped bare millions of years ago, but there are artificial structures on the second planet, big ones. The ship moved closer to the middle planet. As they approached, massive structures became visible on the surface. They were not like anything built by known galactic civilizations. The buildings were smooth and flowing, as if they had been grown rather than constructed. Some reached miles into the airless sky, while others spread across the landscape like frozen rivers of metal and stone. This is incredible, Junho breathed. The architecture does not match any known species. And look at the size of those structures. Some are larger than entire human cities. Hana pressed her marked hand against the cool window glass. As soon as her palm touched the surface, the birthmark began to tingle. She pulled her hand back in surprise. Are you okay? Mirai asked, noticing Hana's reaction. Fine, just excited, I guess, Hana replied, not wanting to mention the strange sensation in her hand. They landed near one of the smaller structures, though even it was the size of a mountain. The team put on their environmental suits and stepped out onto the barren surface. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth normal, making their steps bouncy and awkward. Up close, the building was even more impressive. The walls were made of some unknown material that seemed to shift color in the dim red sunlight. There were no obvious doors or windows, just smooth surfaces that curved and flowed like water made solid. How do we get inside? Daeho wondered, running his gloved hands over the seamless wall. Junho was scanning the structure with various instruments. I am not detecting any obvious entrances, but there are energy readings from within. Something is still active after all these years. Hana walked around the base of the building, looking for any sign of an opening. The birthmark on her hand was growing warm again, even inside her environmental suit. As she approached what seemed like the back of the structure, the tingling sensation became stronger. Over here, she called to the others. I think I found something. When they joined her, they could see what looked like a smooth panel set into the wall. It was perfectly rectangular and slightly darker than the surrounding material. It could be a door, Mirai suggested, but I do not see any controls or mechanisms. Hana stared at the panel. Her marked hand was now burning with warmth. Without really thinking about what she was doing, she reached out and placed her gloved palm against the dark rectangle. The moment her hand made contact, the panel began to glow with soft blue light. Lines of energy raced outward from where she touched, spreading across the surface like veins of liquid light. The panel dissolved, revealing a corridor that led into the heart of the structure. The three other team members stared in shock. Junho was the first to speak. How did you do that? I do not know, Hana replied honestly. I just felt like I should touch it. Emergency lighting flickered to life along the corridor, casting everything in a pale blue glow. The air inside read as breathable on their instruments, though they kept their suits sealed as a precaution. They walked single file down the corridor, their footsteps echoing in the ancient silence. The walls were covered with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move in the corner of their vision. Hana recognized some of the designs. They looked similar to the birthmark on her hand. These symbols, she said, stopping to examine the wall more closely. They look familiar. Familiar how? Unyo asked, pulling out his recording equipment to document everything they saw. Before Hana could answer, they reached the end of the corridor. It opened into a vast chamber with a domed ceiling that stretched hundreds of feet above them. The room was filled with strange crystalline structures that pulsed with internal light. At the center stood a circular platform surrounded by floating screens and controls. This looks like some kind of command center, Daeho said, approaching the central platform cautiously. But the technology is unlike anything I have ever seen. Mirai was scanning everything with her instruments. The energy readings here are off the charts. Whatever powers this place is still running after millions of years. Hana walked toward the central platform. With each step, the patterns on her hand grew warmer and the crystalline structures around the room glowed brighter. When she reached the edge of the platform, all the floating screens suddenly activated. Images flashed across the displays. Star maps showing the positions of planets and civilizations, technical diagrams of devices beyond current understanding, and everywhere symbols that matched the birthmark on Hana's hand. Everyone step back, Junho ordered, worried about what they might have triggered. But Hana felt drawn to the center of the platform. The burning sensation in her hand was now spreading up her arm. She looked down and gasped in shock. The birthmark was glowing through her environmental suit, casting blue light that was visible even through the thick material. She stepped onto the platform. The moment her feet touched the central area, the entire chamber came alive. Every surface began to glow. The crystalline structures hummed with power. The floating screens multiplied and expanded, filling the air with holographic displays. And then a voice spoke directly into their minds, speaking in perfect English with Hana's own voice. Welcome, inheritor. The long wait is over. It is time to reclaim what was lost. The four humans stood frozen in amazement as the ancient facility awakened around them, responding to genetic patterns that had been dormant in human DNA for millions of years. The birthmark on Hana's hand pulsed with brilliant blue light, finally revealing its true purpose as the key to secrets that would reshape their understanding of the galaxy. The voice that spoke in their minds was definitely Hana's, but it carried knowledge and authority that seemed impossibly ancient. The blue glow from her birthmark had spread across the entire platform, creating patterns of light that matched the symbols covering the chamber walls. "What is happening to me?" Hana asked aloud, her voice echoing strangely in the vast space. "You are awakening," the voice in their minds replied, "as we always knew you would. The genetic markers have been passed down through countless generations waiting for this moment." Junho, Mirai, and Daiho stood at the edge of the platform, afraid to move closer, but unable to look away. The holographic displays surrounding them showed images that defied understanding, cities that floated in space, technologies that seemed to blend science and art, and always, beings that looked remarkably similar to humans. "Who are you?" Hana whispered, though she somehow knew the answer was already inside her head. "We are the Builders, the first to reach for the stars, the gardeners who planted the seeds of civilization across this galaxy." The voice paused as more images flashed across the screens. "And you, inheritor, carry our legacy in your very bones." Mirai stepped forward cautiously, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "This is impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. We have fossil records going back millions of years." The ancient voice seemed to smile, though no face was visible, evolution guided by careful hands. "DNA shaped by those who came before. Your species did grow on your world, but not by chance. We made sure the right genetic patterns would survive and spread." New holographic displays activated, showing the history of Earth from space. They could see the planet through different time periods. Ice ages came and went, species rose and fell. But throughout it all, a small population of early humans carried something special in their genetic code. "You seeded humanity?" Funhyo asked in amazement. "Not seeded, guided. We took what was already there and made sure it would grow in the right direction. Most of your people carry tiny traces of our influence, but in rare individuals the full pattern emerges." The voice focused on Hana. "In you, inheritor, the bloodline runs true." Hana looked down at her glowing hand. The birthmark was now clearly visible through her suit, pulsing with complex patterns that seemed to contain entire libraries of information. "Why?" she asked. "Why guide us? Why wait so long?" The chamber around them began to change. The walls became transparent, showing the dead solar system outside, but overlaid on the current view were ghostly images of what the system had once been. Green worlds full of life. Cities that spanned continents. Beings that looked like idealized versions of humanity, tall and graceful with eyes that held the wisdom of ages. "We were the first to achieve true galactic civilization," the voice explained. "For millions of years we explored every corner of this galaxy. We built wonders that lasted forever. We thought we were invincible." The images shifted, showing the arrival of something terrible. Dark shapes that moved between the stars, consuming everything in their path. Entire solar systems went dark as the unknown threat spread. But we were not alone in the universe. Things older and hungrier than we could imagine took notice of our success. They came from the spaces between galaxies, drawn by the light of our civilization. Daiho was recording everything, though his hands shook as he operated his equipment. What were they? Devourers, entities that feed on the energy of living civilizations. They had consumed countless galaxies before ours. We fought them for 1,000 years, but we could not win. So we made a different choice. The holographic displays showed the Builders dismantling their great cities and hiding their technology. They scattered across the galaxy, concealing advanced facilities on dead worlds and in asteroid fields. We went into hiding. We erased most traces of our civilization from the galaxy. But first we planted seeds. We guided the development of younger species, giving them the tools they would need to survive and grow. Hana suddenly understood. The other species in the galaxy, the ones who mocked humanity at the council, they all received builder technology, fragments only, enough to help them reach the stars and build their civilizations, but not enough to understand what they had received. They think they developed everything themselves. They have forgotten that their greatest achievements came from studying artifacts they found but did not comprehend. Mirai was examining the energy readings from her instruments. "So every major galactic civilization is built on your technology?" "In part, yes. But they received only pieces. Tools without understanding, ships without knowing how they truly work, weapons without grasping the principles behind them. They are like children playing with toys made by adults." The ancient voice grew sadder. We hoped they would grow beyond what we gave them, that they would develop wisdom along with power. Instead, they became arrogant. They forgot to look beyond their own small concerns. Junho was studying the star maps displayed around them, but humanity received something different. Yes, you received the inheritance directly through your genetic code. Not technology, but the potential to understand and create. The patterns in the inheritor's hand are not just marks. They are living libraries of knowledge passed down through bloodlines we have carefully preserved. Hana felt a strange sensation as new knowledge began flowing through her mind. She could suddenly understand the holographic displays around her. The symbols on the walls made perfect sense. The purpose of every device in the chamber became clear. This is why the other species dismiss humanity, she realized. You made sure we would develop slowly, naturally, without relying on artifacts. We had to learn everything the hard way. Because only through that struggle could you develop the wisdom to use what you would eventually inherit. The other species received gifts that made them comfortable and arrogant. You received the tools to become something greater. The chamber began to pulse with a rhythm like a heartbeat. More facilities across the dead planet were activating, responding to Hana's presence. The Devourers are returning, the ancient voice warned. Our sensors detect movements in the void between galaxies. The light of the current galactic civilizations has grown bright enough to attract their attention once again. How long do we have? Mirai asked, her face pale with the implications. Perhaps a few years in your timescale. Perhaps less. That is why the awakening happens now. The galaxy will need the Builder inheritance to survive what is coming. Hana looked at her three companions, then at the vast chamber filled with ancient technology. What am I supposed to do? I am just one person. You are the key that unlocks the true potential of your species, the voice replied. And through humanity, the galaxy might finally learn to work together instead of fighting over scraps of forgotten knowledge. The glow from Hana's birthmark began to settle into a steady blue light. She could feel the ancient knowledge integrating with her own thoughts, becoming part of who she was rather than something foreign imposed upon her. The other facilities will respond to you now, the voice continued. Each one contains more knowledge, more technology, more tools for the fight ahead. But remember, Inheritor, the greatest weapon against the Devourers is not any single technology we can give you. What then? Hana asked. Unity, the very thing the current galactic civilizations lack. The Devourers consume isolated species easily, but a galaxy that truly works as one becomes something they cannot digest. As the ancient voice faded, Hana understood that her real challenge was not just accessing Builder technology. It was convincing the arrogant aliens who had mocked humanity that their survival depended on working together with the species they considered primitive. 2 weeks had passed since the awakening of the first Builder facility. Hana and her team now traveled in a ship that looked nothing like the modest research vessel they had started with. The ancient facility had produced new technology that transformed their simple craft into something that could rival the best ships in the galaxy. The hull now gleamed with the same flowing metal as the Builder structures. Blue energy conduits pulsed along the sides like veins carrying lifeblood. Most importantly, the ship could travel faster than any vessel the current galactic civilizations possessed. Hana stood in the new command center, studying a holographic star map that showed the locations of other Builder facilities. Her birthmark had continued to evolve, the patterns now extending halfway up her arm in intricate spirals that glowed softly even when not actively interfaced with Builder technology. The next facility is in the Helix Nebula, she told her companions. According to the data I accessed, it contains manufacturing capabilities that could produce enough ships to defend an entire star system. Dr. Park Junho looked up from his notes. Over the past 2 weeks, he had been documenting everything they discovered. His hair was even more disheveled than usual from running his hands through it in amazement. Hana, we need to talk about what we are going to do with all this, he said seriously. This knowledge could change everything, but it could also cause chaos if the wrong people get hold of it. Kim Daeho was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. His technical skills had improved dramatically since the ship's systems had interfaced with his neural patterns, teaching him things about technology that most species took centuries to learn. Speaking of the wrong people, Daeho said, I am picking up increased chatter about our discovery. Word is spreading fast through the galactic networks. Dr. Choi Mirai was deep in study of the Builder physics principles. The ancient knowledge had opened her mind to concepts that made current galactic science look like elementary mathematics. The energy signatures from our ship are impossible to hide, she explained. Every sensor array in this sector can detect us. We are broadcasting our presence whether we want to or not. Hana nodded grimly. The builder AI warned me this would happen. As more facilities activate, the energy signals will attract attention from across the galaxy. They entered the Helix Nebula 3 hours later. The colorful gas clouds swirled around them like a cosmic storm, but their enhanced sensors easily located the hidden facility. This one was built inside a hollow asteroid, completely invisible from the outside. When Hana placed her glowing hand on the activation panel, the asteroid split open like a flower blooming. Inside was a manufacturing complex that stretched for miles in every direction. Automated systems that had slept for millions of years hummed back to life. Incredible, Junho whispered as they walked through corridors lined with construction bays. These facilities could build entire fleets in a matter of days. But as they explored deeper into the complex, Daeho's communication equipment began picking up signals from outside the nebula. We have company, he announced. 3 different fleets are converging on our position: Korthak Empire, Crystalline Hegemony, and something I do not recognize. Hana felt the builder knowledge flowing through her mind, showing her tactical displays and threat assessments. They are not here to negotiate. All 3 fleets are in combat formation. Mireille was analyzing the approaching ships with their enhanced sensors. The Korthak fleet alone has enough firepower to destroy a small moon, and the crystalline ships have weapons that can cut through any known armor. What about the 3rd fleet? Junho asked. Unknown configuration, Daeho replied. But the energy signatures suggest they are using modified builder technology. Badly modified, but still dangerous. Hana realized what that meant. Some species found builder artifacts and tried to reverse engineer them. They probably do not understand what they are using, but that might make them more dangerous, not less. The manufacturing facility around them was now fully active. Assembly lines moved with liquid grace, constructing devices and vehicles from materials that seemed to be created from pure energy. But the process would take time they did not have. How long until those fleets reach us? Hana asked. 6 hours, Daeho answered. Maybe less if they push their engines. Hana placed both hands on the central control console. Her birthmark flared with brilliant blue light as she accessed deeper levels of the facility's capabilities. Suddenly she understood something that made her blood run cold. This is not the first time builder facilities have been discovered, she said. The AI is showing me records of other species finding fragments over the millennia. But every time they tried to use the technology improperly, the results were catastrophic. Images flowed through her mind of civilizations that had found builder artifacts and tried to weaponize them without understanding their true purpose. Entire species had destroyed themselves when their modified builder technology backfired. That explains why so many galactic civilizations rose and fell throughout history, Mireille realized. They found pieces of builder technology, used them to become powerful, then destroyed themselves when they pushed too far. But the current major civilizations survived because they were more careful? Junho asked. No, Hana said as more knowledge flowed through her. They survived because they only found the most basic artifacts. Simple tools that even they could not ruin completely. But they built their entire civilizations on those foundations without ever understanding what they really were. Daeho was tracking the approaching fleets on his displays. The Korthak ships are moving faster now. They will be here in 4 hours. Hana made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. Instead of preparing to fight or flee, she activated the facility's long-range communication systems. What are you doing? Junho asked. Something the builder AI suggested. If these species want builder technology so badly, maybe it is time they learned the truth about what they already have. She opened communication channels to all 3 approaching fleets. Her image appeared on their command screens, the glowing patterns on her arm clearly visible. This is Lee Hana of Earth, speaking to the commanding officers of the Korthak Empire, Crystalline Hegemony, and Unknown Fleet. You have come seeking builder technology, but first there are things you need to know about your own civilizations. The responses came quickly. The Korthak commander snarled through his translator. Surrender immediately, human. The builder legacy belongs to the strong, not to primitive species who stumbled upon it by accident. The crystalline representative spoke in harmonious tones that somehow conveyed menace. Your species has no right to such power. We have studied the ancient artifacts for thousands of years. We understand them better than you ever could. The unknown fleet commander appeared on screen, revealing herself to be from a species Hana did not recognize. She had silver skin and too many eyes, all of which glowed with artificial implants. Builder technology made us what we are today, the unknown commander said. We will not let you humans steal our birthright. Hana smiled sadly. You still do not understand. The technology you think is yours, the artifacts your civilizations are built upon, they were never meant for you. They were training tools, simple devices left behind to prepare the galaxy for what is coming. She activated the manufacturing facility's holographic projectors, sending images directly to all three fleets. They could see the true scope of builder civilization. Cities that spanned solar systems, technologies that seemed like magic even by current galactic standards. And finally, the images of the devourers that had driven the builders into hiding. Your weapons, your ships, your greatest achievements, Hana continued. They are pale shadows of what the builders could create. And even the builders could not stand against what is coming for all of us. The silence from the three fleets lasted for several long minutes. When the responses came, they were very different from the threats that had preceded them. How do we know you speak truth? The Korthak commander asked, his voice much quieter than before. Hana placed her hand on the facility controls again. Around the three fleets, space itself began to glow as hidden builder installations throughout the nebula awakened in response to her genetic signature. Devices that had remained invisible for millions of years revealed themselves, each one more advanced than anything the galactic civilizations had ever built. Because, Hana said, the real builder technology recognizes me. And now it is time for all of us to learn why humanity was chosen to inherit what the builders left behind. The revelation in the Helix Nebula had changed everything. Within hours of Hana's broadcast to the three fleets, the news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every major civilization learned that their proudest achievements were built on borrowed technology they had never truly understood. The response was chaos. Hana and her team now found themselves the most hunted beings in the galaxy. Some species wanted to capture them to claim the builder inheritance for themselves. Others wanted them dead to prevent humanity from gaining too much power. A few tried to form alliances, but even these offers came with demands that Hana could not accept. 15 more fleets have entered this sector, Kim Deho reported from his position at the enhanced sensor array. They are all moving toward our last known position. Their ship hung hidden in the shadow of a gas giant, its builder technology making them nearly invisible to conventional sensors. But Hana knew their hiding would not last long. The Korthak Empire has declared us enemies of galactic order, Dr. Park Junho said, reading the latest communications intercepts. They are offering a massive reward for our capture. Dr. Choi Mire looked up from her analysis of their current situation. The crystalline hegemony is being more subtle. They are claiming we are dangerous criminals who stole ancient artifacts that belong to all civilizations. And the unknown fleet? Hana asked. They call themselves the Ascended Collective, Deho replied. Apparently they have been secretly modifying their bodies with builder technology for centuries. They consider us a threat to their evolution into something beyond organic life. Hana felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. The builder knowledge in her mind showed her dozens of hidden facilities across the galaxy, each containing technology that could change the balance of power forever, but accessing them would reveal their location to every sensor array within dozens of light years. We cannot keep running forever, she said, and we cannot let any of these factions get their hands on more builder technology until they understand why it exists. What do you mean? Juno asked. The builder AI has been showing me more historical records. Every time a species found significant builder artifacts, they used them to wage war on their neighbors. They never learned the lesson the builders were trying to teach. Miri leaned forward with interest. What lesson? Unity, Hana replied. The builder technology only reaches its full potential when different species work together. Used by a single civilization, it becomes a weapon that eventually destroys everything. Their conversation was interrupted by alarms from Deho's station. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace nearby. They found us. On the main display, they could see sleek vessels that moved with predatory grace. The ships were clearly built using modified builder principles, but something about them felt wrong. They pulsed with sickly yellow light instead of the clean blue glow of proper builder technology. Ascended collective ships, Mirai identified. Their modifications are causing energy cascade failures. Those vessels are barely holding together. They are hailing us, Deho announced. Put them through, Hana decided. The face that appeared on their screen was barely recognizable as originally organic. The Ascended Collective commander had replaced most of her natural features with mechanical implants that sparked with unstable energy. Human inheritor, the commander spoke in a voice that buzzed with electronic distortion. You carry genetic patterns that belong to the Ascended. Surrender yourself and we will grant you the privilege of joining our evolution. What did you do to yourselves? Hana asked in horror. We became more than our weak flesh allowed. Builder technology flowed through our bodies, replacing inferior organic components with perfected mechanical systems. Soon we will be pure energy, free from the limitations of physical form. But Hana could see the truth through her connection to Builder knowledge. The Ascended Collective had tried to merge directly with Builder technology without understanding its purpose. Instead of evolution, they had created a slow form of technological poisoning that was killing them. Your modifications are destroying you, she said. Builder technology was never meant to replace biological systems. It was designed to enhance cooperation between different forms of life. Lies, the commander snarled. We have achieved perfection, and we will take your genetic codes to complete our transformation. The Ascended ships opened fire, but their weapons were as unstable as their technology. Energy beams that should have been focused scattered in random directions. Some shots missed entirely while others turned back on the ships that fired them. They are falling apart, Deho observed. Their modified systems are failing faster than they can repair them. Hana made a difficult decision. Instead of fleeing, she activated their ship's builder communication systems and sent a data package directly to the Ascended vessels. What are you doing? Yunyo asked in alarm. Showing them how to stabilize their technology before they kill themselves, Hana replied. They just tried to capture you, Mirai pointed out. But they are still living beings. The Builder knowledge shows me how to fix what they did wrong. I cannot just watch them die from their own mistakes. The data package contained instructions for safely removing the unstable modifications and replacing them with properly designed interfaces. Within minutes, the chaotic energy patterns around the Ascended ships began to stabilize. The commander's face reappeared on their screen, looking confused and somehow more organic than before. Why did you help us? She asked. Because that is what the Builder technology is for, Hana explained. Not to make any one species superior, but to help everyone survive and grow together. Before the commander could respond, space around them erupted with new arrivals. A massive Korthak battle fleet had found their location. Dozens of warships surrounded them with weapons charged and ready. This is Admiral Vorthek of the Korthak Empire, a harsh voice announced. Human vessel, you are surrounded. Surrender the Builder inheritance or be destroyed. The Ascended ships moved to intercept some of the Korthak vessels, apparently deciding to help Hana's team, but even together, they were vastly outnumbered. Can we make a jump to hyperspace? Hana asked. Not with this many ships targeting us, Deho replied. They will track our hyperspace wake and follow us wherever we go. Hana felt the Builder knowledge flowing through her mind, showing her options she had not considered. There was a way to escape, but it would require activating multiple Builder facilities simultaneously. The energy signature would be visible across half the galaxy. If I do what I am thinking, she said slowly, every species in the galaxy will know exactly where we are and how powerful the Builder technology really is. What choice do we have? Yunyo asked as Korthak weapons began charging to full power. Hana placed both hands on the ship's control systems. Her birthmark blazed with brilliant blue light as she reached out through space to contact hidden Builder installations across 3 star systems. None, she replied, and activated the network. What happened next was visible from hundreds of light years away. Ancient facilities that had slept since the fall of the Builder civilization awakened all at once. Space itself seemed to crack as massive amounts of energy flowed between the installations. The Korthak fleet found their weapons useless as Builder defensive systems activated around them. Force fields that could stop planet-killing weapons surrounded each ship, trapping them but causing no harm. Attention all vessels, Hana broadcast on all frequencies. You wanted to see real Builder technology. You wanted to understand what humanity inherited. This is just the beginning. Around them, the hidden Builder installations revealed themselves. Structures larger than space stations materialized from hyperspace. Manufacturing facilities that could build entire fleets began producing vessels of impossible beauty and power. The builders left us guardians for their legacy. Hana continued as the new ships took defensive positions around her vessel. But they also left us a responsibility. This technology belongs to the galaxy, not to any single species. It is time for all of us to learn how to use it properly. The Korthak Admiral's voice came through their communications, much quieter than before. "What do you want from us?" "I want you to listen," Hana replied, "because the real test is coming, and when it arrives, we will either stand together or fall separately." In the distance, sensors detected new hyperspace signatures. More fleets were coming. Word of the builder network activation had reached every corner of the galaxy, and everyone wanted to see what humanity had unleashed. But Hana was no longer afraid. The ancient knowledge flowing through her mind showed her that this moment had always been inevitable. The galaxy was about to learn that its survival depended not on who could claim the most powerful weapons, but on who could learn to work together when everything they knew was threatened. The activation of the builder network had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Within 24 hours, over 300 fleets from dozens of different species converged on the system where Hana had revealed the ancient technology. Space became crowded with vessels ranging from massive Korthak dreadnoughts to delicate crystalline exploration ships, but none of them dared to attack. The builder installations that had materialized around Hana's position were beyond anything the current galactic civilizations could comprehend. Structures the size of moons floated in perfect formation, their surfaces glowing with the same blue energy that marked Hana's hand. Defensive fields surrounded the entire area, creating a zone that no weapon could penetrate. Inside the protected space, Hana stood in the command center of the primary facility. Her birthmark had evolved again, the glowing patterns now covering most of her left arm in intricate spirals that pulsed with living light. The builder knowledge flowed through her mind like a river of ancient wisdom. "The energy readings are off every scale we have," Dr. Choi Mirai reported, her voice filled with awe. "These installations are drawing power directly from the fabric of space itself." Dr. Park Jun-ho was documenting everything with equipment that had been enhanced by builder technology. "The historical implications are staggering. These facilities have been here all along, hidden in folded space. The builders never really left the galaxy." Kim Dae-ho monitored communications from the hundreds of ships surrounding them. "Every major government in the galaxy is demanding answers. Some are threatening war if we do not share the technology. Others are offering alliances." "And Earth?" Hana asked. "The human government is in emergency session. They are trying to figure out what to do with a citizen who suddenly controls technology that could reshape galactic civilization." Hana felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Through her connection to the builder network, she could sense the fear and anger radiating from the assembled fleets. Centuries of established power structures were crumbling, as species realized their technological superiority was built on foundations they had never understood. "There is something else," she said quietly. "The network is showing me data from deep space sensors. The Devourers are closer than we thought." Her companions gathered around as Hana activated a holographic display. It showed the galaxy from above, with millions of stars marked in different colors. Most were the familiar blue of inhabited systems. But at the very edge of the display, a growing patch of absolute darkness was consuming everything in its path. "How long?" Mirai asked, her face pale. 18 months. Maybe less if they accelerate." Hana manipulated the display to show projected paths. "They are not just moving randomly. They are following the energy signatures from our recent activations. So by awakening the builder network, we called them here faster," Jun-ho realized. "Yes, but we also gave the galaxy its only chance to survive what is coming." A new voice spoke from behind them. "That chance may be smaller than you think." They turned to see a figure materializing from light itself. It was tall and graceful, clearly once organic but now existing as pure energy contained in a vaguely humanoid shape. The newcomer glowed with the same blue radiance as the builder installations. "You are a builder," Hana said, though somehow she had already known. "I am what remains of one. My name was Keth Morin, though I have not used it for millions of years. I have been waiting in the network for an inheritor to awaken our legacy." The energy being moved closer, and Hana could feel ancient sadness radiating from it. "You have done well to activate the network so quickly, but you must understand the magnitude of what approaches. The holographic display changed, showing images that made everyone step back in horror. The Devourers were not ships or creatures in any recognizable sense. They were living voids in space itself, areas where reality seemed to have been eaten away. Wherever they passed, stars went out and entire solar systems simply ceased to exist. We fought them for 1,000 years, Keth Moran continued. Our weapons could destroy planets but barely scratch their forms. Our shields could deflect the power of suns but provided no protection against their hunger. Then how do we stop them? Deho asked. You do not stop them. You become something they cannot consume. The Devourers feed on the energy of civilizations, but they cannot digest unity itself. A galaxy that truly works as one becomes immune to their hunger. Mireille frowned. That does not make scientific sense. Your science measures physical forces. The Devourers operate on principles your species has not discovered. They are drawn to conflict and division like predators following the scent of blood. But when civilizations achieve perfect cooperation, they create something the Devourers cannot understand or consume. Hana felt the builder knowledge in her mind confirming what Keth Moran said. Images flowed through her consciousness, showing galaxies that had survived Devourer attacks through unity, and others that had fallen because they remained divided even in the face of extinction. The current galactic civilizations will never achieve that kind of cooperation, she said sadly. They have spent too many centuries fighting each other and believing in their own superiority. Which is why the inheritance was placed in humanity, Keth Moran replied. Your species developed without relying on our artifacts. You learned to work together through necessity, rather than convenience. You have the potential to show others what true unity looks like. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Deho checked his instruments with growing alarm. We have a problem. 3 of the alien fleets out there are powering up their weapons. They are not targeting us directly, but they are preparing to fire on each other. Through the network sensors, Hana could see what was happening. The Korthak Empire had decided to claim the builder technology by destroying their competitors. The crystalline hegemony was preparing to defend themselves. A third faction she did not recognize was moving to attack both groups. They are going to start a war right here in the middle of our defensive perimeter, Junho observed with disbelief. Fear makes beings do foolish things, Keth Moran said. They see the power around them and panic at the thought of their enemies claiming it first. Hana made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. Instead of raising stronger shields or activating weapons, she began shutting down the builder network. What are you doing? Mireille asked in alarm. Something the builders should have done long ago, Hana replied. Instead of hiding their technology, they should have forced the galaxy to learn how to use it properly. The blue glow began fading from the installations around them. One by one, the massive builder facilities started dematerializing back into folded space. You are giving up our only advantage, Deho protested. No, I am creating the only advantage that matters. As the builder installations faded, the hundreds of alien ships found themselves face to face with no barriers between them. Their weapons were charged and ready. Their ancient hatreds and fears had been amplified by what they had witnessed. For a moment, it seemed like the largest space battle in galactic history was about to begin. Then Hana activated the one builder system she had kept online. Not weapons or shields, but the communication network that could reach every ship simultaneously. Her image appeared on every screen in every vessel. The patterns on her arm glowed softly, but her expression was calm and determined. People of the galaxy, she began. You came here seeking power. You found it. You saw technology that could make any one of your civilizations supreme over all others. And your first instinct was to fight each other for control of it. She paused, letting her words sink in. In 18 months, entities that destroyed the builders themselves will arrive at the edge of our galaxy. They will consume every star, every world, every living being unless we stand together. The choice is simple. You can fight each other now and guarantee that we all die when the real enemy arrives, or you can learn to work together and become something even the Devourers cannot destroy. The communication channels erupted with responses. Threats, demands, questions, and protests flooded the network from hundreds of different sources. But slowly, a few voices began calling for calm. Some ship commanders who had seen the images of the approaching Devourers began advocating for cooperation. Hana smiled as she felt something new flowing through the builder network. For the first time in millions of years, representatives of multiple species were choosing to listen, rather than fight. 6 months had passed since the confrontation in space above the builder installations. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The old Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime had been completely rebuilt using a combination of builder principles and technologies from dozens of different species working. Together, Lihanna walked through the new council halls, her transformed appearance drawing respectful nods from beings who had once mocked her. The glowing patterns that had started as a simple birthmark now covered both her arms in intricate spirals that pulsed with soft blue light. Her eyes held depths of ancient knowledge, but her smile remained warmly human. She was no longer just Hana. The official records listed her as Supreme Arbiter Hana, bridge between worlds, keeper of the Builder legacy. But to her friends she was still the same person who had once stood nervously before an assembly of arrogant aliens. "The morning reports," said Dr. Park Junho, approaching with a datapad. His hair was now completely gray, but his eyes sparkled with the excitement of someone documenting the greatest transformation in galactic history. 17 more species have joined the Unity Accord. That brings the total to 83% of all known civilizations. Hana accepted the pad and reviewed the information. The Unity Accord was not a treaty or alliance in the traditional sense. It was something entirely new, a commitment by different species to share resources, knowledge, and technology for the common defense against the approaching devourers. "What about the holdouts?" she asked. "The Korthak Empire is still demanding exclusive access to builder military technology. The rigid hierarchy insists that cooperation with younger species diminishes their cultural purity, and the merchant princes claim that unity is bad for business." Dr. Choi Mirai joined them, carrying equipment that hummed with barely contained energy. Her work combining builder physics with traditional galactic science had produced breakthroughs that seemed like magic even to advanced civilizations. "The joint research stations are exceeding all projections," she reported excitedly. "When crystalline mathematicians work with gaseous cloud philosophers and human engineers, they solve problems that none of them could handle alone. We have developed new technologies that even the builders never imagined." Through the tall windows they could see the proof of her words. Ships unlike anything that had existed before moved through space around Nexus Prime. Vessels that combined the artistic beauty of crystalline architecture with the practical durability of Korthak engineering and the innovative adaptability of human design. Kim Daeho appeared at Hana's side with his usual quiet efficiency. His technical abilities had grown enormously through his connection to builder networks, but he remained humble about his achievements. "The deep space monitoring stations are reporting new data," he said. "The Devourers have noticed our activities. They are accelerating their approach." Hana felt a chill despite the warm glow of her marked arms. "How much time do we have?" 8 months. Maybe 9 if we are lucky." They made their way to the Central Council chamber where representatives from across the galaxy were gathering for the daily coordination meeting. The new chamber bore no resemblance to the old one where aliens had once laughed at humanity. Instead of elevated platforms that separated species by importance, there was a circular space where all beings stood as equals. High Curator Velthera was there, her metallic features somehow softer than they had been months ago. The process of working with other species had changed her from an arrogant leader into someone who listened before speaking. "Arbiter Hana," she said with genuine respect. "The manufacturing collectives report that we now have sufficient ships to protect 12 star systems simultaneously. The combined fleets are training together despite their different technologies and tactics." Ambassador Krelvon from the reptilian delegation nodded his agreement. "My people have learned much from cooperation with the gaseous clouds. Their knowledge of energy manipulation combined with our understanding of physical materials has created weapons that can actually damage devourer entities." "But will it be enough?" asked Captain Jira, representing the younger species that had recently joined galactic civilization. "The builder records show that the devourers consumed galaxies with billions of advanced civilizations." Before Hana could answer, a new presence made itself known in the chamber. The energy being Kethmoran materialized near the center of the circle, his form glowing with approval at what he saw. "It will be enough," he said, his voice carrying absolute certainty. "What you have achieved here goes beyond what my people accomplished in millions of years of existence. You have learned the secret that we never mastered." "What secret?" asked Mirai. "True unity is not about becoming the same. It is about being different but choosing to work together anyway." The builders tried to guide other species by giving them pieces of our technology, but you have created something entirely new by combining your different strengths. Hana felt the builder knowledge in her mind confirming what Keth Moran said. Images flowed through her consciousness showing the approaching devourers slowing their advance as they encountered something they had never faced before. A galaxy that grew stronger through diversity rather than weaker through division. There is something else, she announced to the assembled representatives. The Builder Network has detected signals from beyond our galaxy. Other civilizations facing their own devourer attacks. If we succeed in stopping the ones coming here, we may be able to help them as well. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They were not just fighting for their own survival, but potentially becoming protectors for all life in the universe. The first Devourer scouts will reach our outer monitoring stations in 3 days, Deho reported. All defense fleets are moving into position. Hana looked around the circle at beings who had spent centuries fighting each other, now preparing to stand together against an enemy none of them could face alone. The glowing patterns on her arms pulsed brighter as she felt the Builder Network responding to the unity she sensed in the room. People of the galaxy, she said, her voice carrying to every ship and station through the communication networks. We face the ultimate test, not of our weapons or our technology, but of our commitment to each other. The Devourers feed on fear, hatred, and division, but we offer them something they cannot digest. Hope, cooperation, and the determination to protect not just our own species but all life. She raised her glowing hands, and the builder installations hidden throughout the galaxy began to activate. But this time, they were not controlled by ancient programming or Hana's genetic patterns alone. They responded to the combined will of hundreds of species working in perfect harmony. The galaxy laughed when humanity asked for help, Hana continued, her smile growing brighter. They mocked us as primitives who had nothing to offer. But we brought something they had forgotten. The ability to see strength in differences rather than weakness. The courage to trust those who are unlike us. As space around Nexus Prime filled with ships from every corner of the galaxy, all flying in perfect formation despite their different designs and origins, Hana felt a deep satisfaction. The birthmark that had once made her self-conscious had become the key to saving everything she cared about. Let them come, she said quietly, her words carried across the galaxy by beings who had learned to speak with one voice. We are ready. In the depths of space, ancient sensors detected the approaching darkness of the Devourers, but for the first time in millions of years, they also detected something the universe-eating entities had never encountered. A galaxy that had chosen unity over conquest, cooperation over domination, and hope over fear. The real battle was about to begin. But as Hana stood surrounded by former enemies who had become true allies, she knew they had already won the victory that mattered most. They had proven that even in a universe full of darkness, beings could choose to create light together. The patterns on her hands glowed with the combined dreams of billions of different minds, all working toward the same goal. The galaxy had stopped laughing at humanity. Instead, they had learned to sing in harmony with voices they had never thought to hear.